Well. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Speaking of Zane, February the 19th, 2023. If you were wondering, it's the 223rd edition of Speaking of Zane. We're right here on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching from. Let's see who we've got here tonight. Sorry, I was a couple minutes late there. The intro was going a little bit long there because I had to run down the hallway because my little baby granddaughter was crying and I had to figure out why. Well, first world problems. She was, don't tell her mom this, she had her iPad and the battery died. She's supposed to be asleep, but I let her have her iPad, but now I'm charging it. All right, let's see who we've got here. Lori's in there. Daryl's in there. Ken's in there. Hey, Ken, welcome back, buddy. Let's see. Somebody says, hey, cuz. That might be my cousin Toby. He's at the Daytona 500. And Steve Shirley's in there. My Aunt Mary's in there. Hey, Aunt Mary. Colin Crim's in there from Albuquerque. Katie Aaron's in there. Katie, I heard you got a little bit of a rest today with Matt and the girls out hiking. Hey, Matt, how you doing, buddy? All right. See, I think I've got everybody acknowledged there. If you're there and you're listening, but you didn't put anything in there, welcome. Good to have you here for sure. If you want me to know you're there, put something in the chat, but you don't have to. Some people watch the recording, some people watch the YouTube. But let's see what we got going here for the week of February 19th. One of Zane's battle buddies, in fact, one of his battle buddies, one of the last of his battle buddies to see him alive, Caleb Kinlaw. Caleb's daughter, Lee, was admitted to the hospital a couple of days ago with seizures, and they were really worried about that. And I think the last update I saw was a positive one, so I think everything is okay. But that's Caleb Kinlaw's daughter, Lee, I think is how you pronounce it. So keep them in your prayers. Let's see, Brenda Lusk is in there. Hey, Brenda. Grammy, Lori says, no iPad. Yeah, I took the iPad away because the battery died. Well, how about that, Katie? I'm glad you got some rest there. Yep, it's Toby. Okay, I saw Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won the race. I didn't watch any of it. I saw that it was on, but okay. Well, let's see. Now, another health scare this week. Let me move that banner out of the way. Aunt Paula, who's often here with us, had a scare. Thought she had a heart issue and put her in the hospital for a couple of days, and they did a bunch of tests and stuff. And her report on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group was a good one. Her most recent report that she did not have a heart attack and doesn't appear that there's any heart issues. And she does have a big heart, but no heart issues. I think maybe she was just dehydrated, but our body needs a lot of water. In fact, our body is made of water primarily. But Aunt Paula, we're hoping you're going to get better soon. Let's see, what else? Oh, Aaron Bartle up in Michigan. I don't know if you guys saw this, Matt and Katie, but I posted, I shared what Aaron Bartle shared on the Facebook group. But he got some well-deserved recognition at a University of Michigan basketball game this weekend, not only for his service, but his continued service to veterans. You know, Aaron is the founder of the Running to Honor 5K that we've been participating in for the last number of years. So glad that Aaron, very modest guy, Aaron, and immediately deflects any attention away from himself to others, but well deserved for him to be acknowledged as a hometown hero, I believe. But good stuff. Let's see. Matt says they figured a way to stream to the TV. Well, I do have a pretty good sized noggin, but you kind of swerved right into the weight loss update. I am down 74 pounds. That's, I think that's 3 pounds since last week when I reported last. 74 pounds. I hit a one of my goals, one of my milestones. Now I've reset to another goal, but anywho, 74 pounds. So I don't take up as much of your TV screen these days, Matt, as I once did. That's for sure. And Jefferson's in there. Hey, buddy, how you doing? All right, let's see. That's almost as much as Dan weighs all together. Yeah, I know. Dan was always a slender guy. All right, let's see. What else we got? So good job there, Aaron. I am headed off to St. Louis this week. Again, I had a whole new crew show up today for this project I'm working. I've got a new group of 10 every Sunday shows up for this project I've got going. And it's most of them's first time to our headquarters in St. Louis. I decided not to go today. I decided to wait. I'm going to go Wednesday. So I'm going to see that crew, that group of 10, many who I've never met in person. And then I'm going to stay to the following Wednesday. So I'll overlap the next crew that comes in next Sunday night. So I'll do a Wednesday to Wednesday. And that way I overlap 2 of my 10-person crews, many of whom I've never met. So, I don't know if Daryl's in here tonight, but Daryl, that means that I will be in St. Louis next weekend. And I'm thinking maybe you and I can grab some lunch or something on Saturday. I would enjoy that greatly. I know there was a little museum that you and I did not get to see over there at Jefferson Barracks, so maybe we do something like that. But if you're watching the recording, I don't see Daryl in here right now, but if you're watching the recording, Daryl, we'll see what we can put together. And I've not shared this before. I've got another, some more travel coming in a few weeks. My daughter, Charlotte, and I, oh, there's Daryl. Okay. My daughter, Charlotte, and I are, before the pandemic, we did some daddy-daughter trips. And of course, we haven't been able to since 2019. But we are. So she asked me where I'd like to go. We talked about it, this, that, and the other. Well, we're going to the Azores. How about that, gang? We're going to the Rock. So we're actually flying to Lisbon, Portugal, and from there to Terceira, Lodges. And I think we're going to spend like 5 days in the Azores, 5 days in Lisbon. So I'm looking forward to it. She's really looking forward to it. I think she's ready to take some time off from work. But that will be a lot of fun. I will take a lot of pictures, especially for those of you that remember that place fondly, Steve and Dan and Amy and all the rest, Jimbo. For the rest of the group, if you don't know where the Azores is, Google it, and I think you'll be surprised when you see where it's at. But because of its location, me and Steve and Amy and Dan and Jimbo and all the others, we got to become very familiar with the Azores. And we spent, from the time we started pulling our alert, forward operating base alert there, we had 4 teams. So that meant that you spent about 1 week out of every month in the Azores, and did that for me. It was about 4 years worth of that, I believe. And Steve says, yeah, the land of Vino Verde. Yeah, we plan to have some Vino Verde and Alcatra, which is Azorean pot roast. So, yep. And Lori says, great idea. Who would have Lori thought of it? Lori actually thought of it. But yeah, so that's going to be fun. Haven't been there since 1988, so should be interesting to see. I know when we were going there all the time. The reason we went there is because we had to be far enough away from the inbound Russian invasion, and that positioned us better than we were in England. So there's this whole cat and mouse thing. But anyway, it was an interesting time for sure. Bonus points for anybody in the chat who can put in what was the name of that operation? What was the original name of the operation that we the official name of our deployment there? Extra bonus points for anybody who can guess it. Okay, well that should be fun. Okay, hat of the week. Well, since this was the first week of spring training for pitchers and catchers, I've got another Atlanta Braves spring training ball cap on. This one was from 2019, pre-pandemic, and they were, 2019, they were still at Disney, I believe. 2020, they moved over to Port Charlotte, and I got to visit a game before COVID hit. Yep, you got it, Daryl. You got it. That's the hat of the week. Okay, well, let's see what we got for this week in military history. Thank you, Mr. Shirley, for sending another item. I've got to take a drink here. I'm parched. Go Gatorade. I just ate. What did I make in the crock pot? A corned beef. I had corned beef and cabbage. So, all right. So this week in military history, February the 15th of 1898, on the evening of February the 15th, the USS Maine exploded in Havana Harbor, where it had been sent to protect U.S. interests during the Cuban War of Independence. I thought that stood out. That was kind of cool. When speaking of daddy-daughter trips, when Charlotte and I went to Havana, we saw the monument to the Maine right there in Havana, and we had to read the whole story behind it and everything. And let's see, sticking with the nautical theme, February the 16th, 1942, the USS Alabama BB-60 was launched. Now, many of you have probably visited the battleship Alabama in Mobile. Is that true? Who's nobody has put the name of our forward operating base operation in the chat there. I know Steve remembers, but bonus points to anybody who has visited USS Alabama. Put that in the chat. Well, Silk Purr, yeah, that's not what I was after, though, Steve. I was after the Logis alert name. You may have to root around in your brain a little bit for this one, but when I tell you, it'll come to you. Let's see. John Badala says he and Rhonda are headed to Las Vegas for a half marathon. Oh, wow, very good. Yeah, I'm ready to go back to Vegas. I've done a lot of Vegas conferences for work, and so many that I got tired of Vegas for a while there. But since we've not traveled that much, I'm raring to go back. But the next conference, our sales conference at work, which we haven't had one since pre-pandemic, we are going next February to Orlando. Actually, Orlando is going to be where our big sales kickoff is next year. But yeah, I'd love to get back to Vegas for some conferences and stuff. Okay, well, let's see. So USS Alabama, has anybody been to the Alabama? Lori and I went to the Alabama most recently on one of our drives to Texas. We stopped off there. Steve has forgotten more than I will ever know. You and me both, Dan. That guy has been around the block. Matt's going to Vegas. Matt, is that Army training you're doing in Vegas? How about that? Okay. Let's see. On this date, no, on the 19th, yeah, on this date, 1945. This was from Steve. Um, 3 U.S. Marine Corps divisions assaulted the island of Iwo Jima, leading to one of the bloodiest Pacific theater battles of World War II. Many who died there on Iwo Jima are buried at Arlington, and this came from Arlington National Cemetery's Twitter feed, I believe, Steve, if I recall that right. So that was Iwo Jima, February the 19th. Okay, Matt, gotcha. Yep, Dad's been to the Alabama. I know. I remember going to the Alabama as a kid, Dad, and I saw they just redid a bunch of the decks or something there, even since Lori and I were there just a few years ago. And they have a whole museum there too with aircraft and everything. They didn't have that when we were kids, but it's a pretty nice museum there. Many of the aircraft there are on loan from the Pensacola, the naval, the Navy, what do they call it? Navy Air Museum. Yeah, Naval Air Museum, Pensacola. A bunch of the planes are on loan from there. Okay, and then another February 16th, I was looking through Zane's Facebook page. Another February 16th, 2011 is when Zane separated from the Army. So not too long after he got back from Iraq. Separated February 16th, 2011. Long time ago now. Okay. All right, Steve, I'm going to throw the Operation Creek Splash at you. Remember that? Operation Creek Splash. Now, I don't remember ever, I remember I remember the name and everything, but we never talked, I don't ever remember hearing us use it regularly, but that was the official name, I think. Operation Creek Splash. But we always just referred to going down there as another trip to the Rock, going to the Rock. And we would spend a week there. We'd get there on a Wednesday, late afternoon, sometimes in the evening, have the evening off, and come up on alert the next day, Thursday, and the crew that we relieved would fly home. And it would go like that weekly. Yep. There's Carl. Hey, Carl, how you doing, buddy? We were just talking about Carl. Maybe Carl remembers. Do you remember what the name of the operation, our alert operation, was called? I just divulged it, so maybe you heard it. But if you came in late, I challenged. I told everybody that my daughter Charlotte and I are going to lodge it. We're going to the Azores in March for my birthday, and then that brought up the whole thing about who remembers what the official name of our operation, our alert operation, was there. And it was Creek Splash. Carl, you probably remember Creek Splash. Anywho. Okay, well, that was it for this week in military history. We did have a couple of cemetery visits. Daryl to Jefferson Barracks and Guy to Georgia National. I actually I was invited to lunch by a colleague of mine on, I think it was Wednesday, and he lives up in Dawsonville. We're in Ackworth, and I said, let's just meet somewhere halfway, maybe meet in Canton. So we met in Canton for lunch, and so I stopped by. It was rainy. It was a miserable day, but I stopped by to see Zane there. Let's see. see what Lori says here. Which ship was it that we took the kids to in one of our vacations? We drove from Nebraska, we went to the USS North Carolina. Yeah. With the kids, and one of them, yeah, Hannah, I think it was Hannah that busted her. Yeah, she busted her head open on one of the guns. It was crazy. I do remember that. Yeah. But Lori and I have since been to the North Carolina. Let's see. Did we stop there, Lori? I'm trying to remember. We were up visiting Zane's kids in Virginia and decided to drive the Outer Banks back. And we did that, came back to the mainland, and then went down to Wilmington. And trying to remember, Lori, if we went on the North Carolina. I think we drove by it, but we didn't go. Maybe we didn't go. We stayed in Wilmington, but we didn't go to the battleship. I'm thinking, yeah, Dad piped in there as kids. I can't even count how many times we went to the North Carolina, either as part of a school field trip or with the family trip. I think several times, if I remember. But the North Carolina and the Alabama are very similar. I don't know if they're the same class, but they're very similar. All right, well, let's see. So Daryl, Jefferson Barracks guy, went to Jordan National, like I said. It's 2 visits this week, 752 visits we've made to 169 different locations since we started this extravaganza. All right, on to the Think a Vet Challenge. Let's see. Daryl had an interesting encounter at the grocery store with a lady veteran who had a license plate. Daryl, correct me if I get this wrong. WAC 1, and Daryl got a chance to thank her. That's kind of cool. And I had an Army and a Marine. The guy I ate lunch with was a Marine, and I had thanked an Army vet at the Kroger Friday. And then my dad had several this week. Dad was not too far from Moody Air Force Base in Valdosta. And Dad thanked 3 active duty Air Force guys and a retired Army. And then he thanked an Air Force vet at Lowe's, and then another vet at Lowe's. Is that right, Dad? Is that the same? 2 different Lowe's visits, I think, for Dad. And let's see, Ken is piping in here. 9 total, thank you. 7 on the cruise, 1 gate guard, and Army turned Navy shuttle driver. Okay, well, how about that? So we get 9 in there for Ken. Good job, Ken. Hope you guys had a wonderful trip. I enjoyed all the photos you took, but I'm sorry you were sick. Sounds like you were sick last week. So 2 different. Okay, Dad. So with Ken's 9, add that to 9, that makes 18 thank yous for the week, for a total of 1,961 thank yous. Lori told me to make sure I let her know when we get close to the 2,000 mark, because she's evidently got something in mind for. I'm going to pan up to our 1,000 thank you sign up there. She evidently has a plan to change that 1 into a 2, and we're getting pretty close to it. 1,961 thank yous since we started doing this a few years ago. How about that? All right, let's see. That was it for the thank yous. What do we got on organizations? I mentioned Aaron. Already looking forward to the running to honor 5K. Um, let's see. I mentioned all about my worst place last week. Actually, Kelly doesn't know this yet, but I'm going to ask her. At my work, we do a lot of veteran stuff, and we like to do these lunch and learns and um, have guests speakers and different stuff. And for Memorial Day, I'm planning to have one of these sessions for Memorial Day, and I'm planning to ask Kelly if she would be our guest speaker, and if I could interview her for my company. And the reason why is I wanted to bring some realness to Memorial Day. You know, people hear Memorial Day and they think about those. You know, I'm talking about like my colleagues at work. You know, they think about Memorial Day. They think about, you know, the flags and all of that stuff. But most of them, you know, they haven't had any sort of connection, right? They don't have any kind of connection to sacrifice. And anyway, so I'm thinking about asking Kelly if she would be my Memorial Day guest speaker. So I'm sure she will say yes. I've got to get the timing right and everything, but I'm excited to do that. So let's see. That's my worst place. Looking at the organization list here, see if there was anything else. I don't think so. We did have a tragic accident earlier this week. Ken, I don't remember which day it was. You posted about it, and somebody else had shared it with me earlier that day. But a Tennessee National Guard Black Hawk helicopter crashed in near Huntsville, Alabama, and unfortunately, with the loss of life of two pilots, Chief Warrant Officer Daniel Waddle was from Joelton, Tennessee, and Chief Warrant Officer Danny Randolph was from Murfreesboro, which is just east of Nashville. In fact, Murfreesboro is where Kelly's son Corey is buried. But yeah, the helicopter. There was actually some video footage of it. Tragic, but yeah, I mean, combat obviously by definition is dangerous, hazardous, and but so is training for it. And they were on a training flight, and unfortunately, you know, gravity is the big enemy of flight, and unfortunately, they perished. Okay, let's see. I think that is it. So we got Carl. Did you remember Creek Splash? Let me get one more. I'm trying now to make sure that I didn't make that up, but I'm pretty sure it was Creek Splash. But there you go. All right. Well, sure is good to have everybody in here. Have a great week. I don't know. Next Sunday night is my sort of changeover night for this new crew, and I'll be in St. Louis, so probably will not do Speaking of Zane on Sunday night. But I will let everybody know on the Facebook page, so you'll know what to expect there. But have a great week, and Paula, if you're watching the recording, we're continuing to pray for you. And Daryl, I hope to see you on Saturday sometime. We'll have to figure out where to connect and what we want to do there. But look forward to seeing you, and look forward to seeing everybody else on the next Speaking of Zane. It'll be, what did I say? The next time we are together, it'll be the 224th, whether it's next week or the following. But I'll look forward to it. So be good, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you on the next time.